Okay, let's set up a personal access token for development work here. I'm logged into my GitHub account. In the top right corner, there's my profile. If I hit the little drop down, I'm going to select settings from the menu. Once I select settings, on the left-hand side, all the way at the bottom, I'm going to click developer settings. There is an option here for personal access tokens, and I'm going to use the generate new token. Give the token a name. I'm going to call this maybe desktop, and then you can set an expiration. So there's some built-in options here, including no expiration or custom expiration. I'm going to set this to expire maybe in 1 week, the end of the week here. To be able to use this from the GitHub command line interface, you need to provide some scopes, and the scopes are everything on a repo. So you can click this checkbox. You need workflow access. And then finally, you need under admin, just read org. And then at the bottom, click generate token. You'll see your token here. This will be the only time it's displayed to you, and you can copy it to your clipboard by clicking this little icon here. If we switch back over to our terminal, GH is the GitHub CLI tool. It's already been installed on this machine, and I'm going to use the auth login command. It presents a series of options. Some are menus. This is a menu, so you can use your up and down arrow keys to select your option. I'm going to log in with github.com. I'm going to use HTTPS, and I'm going to use the authentication token I just created. So use your down arrow, go to paste an authentication token, and then simply Control V, paste your token in. And that's it. And an additional step you might want to take is to set up the GitHub CLI to be the credential store for the Git client. And you do that just a simple, easy command. It's auth setup git. You run that, and now when we use the standard git command, it will use the GitHub CLI client to handle things like your username credentials using, in our case, the personal access token. And the final thing you may want to do is set up the Git configuration so it knows what your username and email are, so it can attach those to your commits as you push code up to your repository. That is not using the GitHub client or the GitHub class CLI. We're going to use an actual Git command, which is Git Config, and we're going to set it globally, not just for a particular project. So it's -- global, and we're going to set the property username, put in your username, so Jeff Gonzalez or whatever name you would like to use, and then we'll also set user email to Jeff and use your email address here, of course. And now that information will be automatically attached to your commit messages every time you push some code up to GitHub. I have a brand new Git repo here. This is a brand new Angular application. If I look, you can see there is a branch. It's clean. There's nothing to commit. And I want to use the GitHub CLI to push this up to GitHub. And you can use GH repo create. It's going to ask you a series of questions. The first question is, do you want to create a new repository on GitHub from scratch? Well, no, we have a repository. As a matter of fact, it's this repository, the folder I'm in right now. So I'll use the down arrow to go to push an existing local repository to GitHub. You give it the path to the repository. The default there, the period, means the directory I'm currently in, and that is correct. So I'll hit enter. You can give it a name, change the name. It doesn't have to be the same name as the folder it is locally, but I will use that, GH demo. You can give a description. If you'd like. Specify whether you'd like this to be created as a public or private repository. You can use internal if you have organizations or GitHub Enterprise. I'll make this one public and it will create it. The next set of questions is about setting up the relationship between my local repository and the newly created one, in this case, Jeffrey Gonzalez GH Demo. And do you want to set up a remote? And I do. The default there is yes. I think the name origin is great. That's kind of the convention using GitHub. So I'll stick with the default there as well. And then finally, it says, okay, we have a relationship with the remote server. So the remote repo. So do you want to push your current branch to that repo? And again, I'll take the default, which is yes. So now it gives you a little link here. You can control click on that link and it will show you that now this repository is up on GitHub as advertised.